Welcome to the Run It Back podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And today we're running back the ode to the Rube Goldberg machine that is the Goonies.
Ain't that some fucking truth?
From 1985. As always, we watched the movie. We're going to play it on mute in the background, just kind of remind us of everything.
You said we're playing it on in the background, pop-up video style today, right?
Kind of. It's on Amazon Prime. If anybody has Prime, you can watch it with no additional fee.
Who the fuck doesn't have Prime?
A lot of people.
In the civilized world?
I don't know. People who like brick and mortar stores. Otherwise known as whatever the fuck store happens in your hometown.
Those shits are too peoply.
Too peoply?
Yeah.
Or Walmart.
Like me and our ups man.
Yeah.
We understand
Our
each
delivery
other.
people hate us.
No, our ups man is so sweet.
The FedEx man hates us.
The FedEx man hates us. He flipped me off. But the ups man is so sweet. Like, I don't let the dogs out until he's out of our gate. But then they, like, fake chase him down the driveway, and he turns around and, like, fake runs from him and dives in his truck all Indiana Jones style and turns around and is like, whew, you almost got me that time. Maybe next time, buddy. He's so sweet.
Alright, so the movie starts off with an escape from jail.
Like,
Good.
Like, the dude, like, fakes a suicide, knocks a guard out, they pour gas in a ring around the jail to, like, trap all of the people inside. Like, it seems like a lot of work to escape from a county jail, from a city jail. Like, you're not in prison, bitch. Like, you're gonna be loose in a couple of hours, chill the fuck ass out. Didn't it seem like a lot for a city jail?
Maybe they were just there for holding until they transported.
I guess.
So he, like you said, he fakes his own suicide. He gets out. Mom is waiting in the car.
Ma Beagle?
Huh?
Ma Beagle? from DuckTales?
Basically.
Well, they're both, I looked it up, both her and Ma Beagle from DuckTales are based on Ma Barker and her sons, who are like real life people. So it makes sense, but you know, all I could think about the whole time was damn Ma Beagle. She even had like the little hat.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of similarities.
Mm-hmm.
She has one hell of a backhand, though.
I will be calling her Ma Beagle throughout, so keep up.
She's waiting with the brother Francis, and what is that guy's name? The one that escapes from jail.
I don't know. Joey?
Jake.
Jake.
So Jake's running to the car. He's getting kind of dressed, which doesn't really seem like the thing to do on the way out. But he runs out the door and takes a look back for no reason. And like you said, the brother Francis has poured gasoline around the entrance to the jail in a square. Jake gets in the car. He shoots the gasoline trail.
He can't get in the car.
Because they have it locked.
Because they have it locked and everybody's too stupid to fucking unlock it. So he jumps through the sunroof.
One was trying to unlock it, but the dude kept grabbing the handle, and it's one of those.
So the dude jumps through the sunroof. And then the brother, like, shoots the gas trail.
Yeah.
Which seems suspect, but okay.
It's doable. It's doable.
I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm saying that these two dumbasses that couldn't unlock a car didn't do it.
Anyway, the gas trail sparks. Keeps the police from pursuit, which they could have just ran through as long as they weren't at a slow walk. They would have been fine running through.
I'm not running through a ring of fire.
It's a very, like, thin ring of fire. It's not like you got to hurdle, like a 5-foot long jump to get.
You know how against all of your human instincts that is?
Yeah, but if you...
Fuck that dude. There were other cops out. There were other cops chasing him.
No, those are the ones that jumped over through the ring.
Still.
So they end up going through this car chase all through town. And one by one, this car chase kind of unknowingly passes each kid in the Goonies, except for Chunk, who was the only kid that notices.
Right.
Um,
They go on to the beach.
Yeah, they go onto the beach to basically escape with the cover of this 4x4 rally race down the coast.
It's the weirdest shit I've ever seen.
It'd be kind of fun to do.
Is this shit a thing?
Sure.
Okay.
And they're in their little Jeep just hauling.
Yeah,
ass.
they passed everybody. Also feel like at this point, in case you didn't listen to last week's episode, from the top, I just want to say that I am a 35-year-old lady. And
Old lady.
Just lady.
You said old lady.
I did not. I said I'm a
35-year-old
lady. Fuck you. I was born in 1984, and I have never seen the Goonies until today.
That's hard to believe, because at one point in time, I remember being on TV every now and then.
Yeah, well, I was apparently not watching that channel.
Like one of those, I want to say it was like TNT or TBS, like back to back.
Probably, and I skipped right over it. I never seen it. So, while your review is about to be clouded in a fog of nostalgia, I do not have that.
You have fresh eyes. Now, are you at least giving it, this is what it was?
Yes,
at the time it was?
I'm judging it by its 80 standards. I'm not an asshole.
You're not on Amazon reviewing this in 2018 because the DVD was scratched.
I just, from the top, feel like people should know where I'm coming from.
And all hate mail can be directed to @runabacpod
@gmail.com.
care of Sarah.
Sure.
Oh, it's just runabacpod, isn't it?
It's actually RIBpod
RIBpod
@gmail.com.
@gmail.com.
But, send it wherever you fucking want. I ain't gonna read that shit anyway.
Shout out to Gmail for all those free business accounts.
Just sit down, write me a letter as if it was the 80s, put it in an envelope, stick it up your ass.
Oh!
And it'll get read at the exact same speed as an email.
Whatever, I would read that email. We'd read it out loud. We'd start a new segment called The Mailbag.
Oh.
Get all Pee Wee Herman on this shit.
All right.
So they kind of escape through the cover of this rally race on the beach and come back through town. The very last kid they pass is one of the main characters, Mikey.
From the jump, bitch.
One of the main characters, Mikey.
No. There's no do-overs, because that shit was funny.
So he's always like, there's nothing. He's sitting there like in his bedroom window with a telescope. It's like nothing ever good happens in this town, and they just drove right past his house. Like it was kind of down the hill and over a ways, but it shows them driving off. You meet Mikey, his brother Brand, and then Mouth comes over.
Okay. So old Mouth, which I don't care for the name, but whatever, comes in. Whatever.
Just chugging his Pepsi.
Sure. But then, when Chunk wants in, he has to scream from outside the gate to be let in? And then they have to use some very complicated Rube Goldberg machine bullshit to open the gate to let him in? But how the fuck did Mouth get in?
He just walked in.
Well, why the fuck couldn't Chunk just walk in?
I don't know. But
okay,
they made Chunk do the truffle shuffle.
Yeah.
Which is basically just pulling up your shirt and wiggling around like you're having a seizure.
I don't.
You don't have any nostalgia for that?
I don't get it. I'm about to get roasted.
So, Chunk does it. They decide to let him in, and about 5 minutes later, the gate opens. He walks in, and he's yelling about, the police chase. It's the greatest thing you ever saw, but then everybody's just kind of ignoring him, and you kind of figure out that he just keeps telling these stories.
He seems to have a bit of a history with lying.
This whole lying thing just bites him in the ass from that point on throughout the whole movie.
Right. But did you notice one of the lies that they called him on was that Michael Jackson once came to his house to use the bathroom?
And I heard you go, ugh.
Well, it was in the scene with Corey Feldman.
So Chunk's like, all right, he didn't come to use the bathroom, but his sister did, and walks off, starts talking about whatever happened.
Right.
So they're all just kind of hanging out in the house, and they end up breaking a statue.
Right. Chunk, as you learn throughout the movie, tends to break a lot of things, and he breaks their replica mini statue of the Statue of David. Breaks the deck right off of it.
Well, as the statue ends up sliding across the table, everybody's just kind of like going after it and yelling no, and Chunk has it. Mm-hmm. He's like, you all thought I was going to drop it. I was going to break it. And when he set it down, he just kind of half set it down on the table. It fell over, and everybody's yelling at him. But he picks the statue up, and just the deck broke off.
Yeah, just the deck. He said, oh no. Mikey said, oh no, it's my mom's favorite part.
And at one point, they try to glue it back together, but they glue it upside down.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
You would think a group of 5 little boys would be able to correctly position a penis.
Not 5 American boys. We don't typically...
What?
You're not in the shower with, in the bathroom with your dad. Other countries have, the locker room shower.
You have a dick!
But still, you've seen it from a different angle.
The balls were attached. They put the balls up top like a flotation device.
You've seen our nephew. They don't pay attention.
He probably knows what side of his dick his balls are on.
Yeah, but if he was fixing something, he would just... If it fit the hole, that's how it fit. The first way it goes through.
I want out of this conversation right now.
So, in the middle of all this, the mom comes home with a lady she has hired to help them pack up.
Rosalita.
Because they are...
Getting kicked out?
The house is being foreclosed upon so that these other people can expand this country club.
Okay.
In this town.
So is this whole area called
the Goondocks?
The Goondocks.
Yes. Wow.
What are you saying? Wow.
All the people going.
It was just never really explained well.
There was, I think, something that got cut out of the movie about the whole Goonies oath. But
so, basically, this country club is going to tear down, this entire area.
And just add a golf course.
See, here's this overly complicated, they made a goddamn chicken-laying egg.
That's impressive.
To let this motherfucker in the gate. Walk your fat ass down your 5 steps and open your gate.
He doesn't shut the gate back.
And how'd the other kid get in? Did he jump it?
Probably. Data just zip lines in here in a minute.
Yeah, we completely forgot to talk about him entering.
Well, we haven't got that far yet.
Oh, okay.
So, I guess he comes in right before the mom comes home. But mom comes home with Rosalita, who she says doesn't speak a word of English. I don't know how the fuck Rosalita got roped into traveling with this white lady. She was basically kidnapped because she doesn't speak any English. Maybe she had a translator, between the two. Hey, I know this woman that's moving. She needs help packing. Mikey's and Brian's mom has some kind of arm injury. It's in a sling.
Do you think her arm was, they cast her and then she broke her arm and then they wrote Rosalita into the shit?
No, because I think the whole reason they wrote Rosalita into the shit is to bring in the fact that Mouth knows Spanish. Okay. And so Mickey's mom...
Also, that is the most unrealistic part of this entire movie. Is that this white kid in the middle of Oregon knows Spanish.
So Mickey's mom gets him to translate for him. And he is fucking with this lady from the get-go. She's okay, all the pants are down here, all the shirts are in these shorts, and all the other stuff's here. Just put it all in cardboard boxes. And she was like, can you tell her that? And he's just the cocaine goes in the bottom drawers, the heroin's in the top, and the marijuana goes in the middle.
You gotta keep the druggists separated.
Yeah. So he's just fucking with her the entire time.
He tells her not to go upstairs to the attic, that's his sex dungeon.
Oh, that's where Mr. Walsh keeps all his sex torture devices.
Right.
And she just looks up there and she kind of gets, like, kind of stops on a moment. And Mikey reaches back to, like, grab her shoulder and she yells. She told them not, don't ever go up there. Mr. Walsh has other stuff up there. He doesn't want anybody bothered. And that leads to all the kids going up there just to look because everybody was told not to. So they go look. And it's basically all this old... Mickey and Branstad's a historian that works for this museum, and it's all their... He called it all their rejected stuff. But it's all about this pirate, One-Eyed Willie, and all these artifacts.
Can we just pause here?
Yeah.
Are we going to let Steven Spielberg get away with this?
They did.
And we're just never going to mention
One-Eyed Willie. William B. Portobello.
Yeah, I saw that. We're just...
Otherwise known as, in the world of RC Blues, Pedro.
I saw Portobello and didn't put it together until just now. So we
doubled down. Hammered it.
We
hammered the over.
The dick jokes?
Yes.
We doubled the fuck down on dick jokes.
Triple, quadruple down.
And just nobody's addressing it.
Bet the house.
All right.
Dick jokes.
All right.
Does that bump the movie up in your...
No. So sorry. There's the map to find One-Eyed Willie's treasure.
So, Mickey goes into... Mikey. I keep calling him Mickey. Mikey.
Hey, Mickey.
Yay.
Hey.
Mikey goes into the whole story. Like, his dad's obviously told him a lot about One-Eyed Willie.
He does go into the story, but his eyes, like, glaze the fuck over. And he's staring out into space as he does it. I'm kind of wondering if he was, like, reading it off of a cue card or something instead of having it memorized, or, like...
I think they were trying to show that he was just kind of involved in the story.
It was just very weird. Like, he glazed the fuck over.
So he's telling them, and they're talking about this treasure. You come to find out, everybody's went and looked for this treasure. Nobody's found it. Everybody thinks it's fake. But... after Mouth messing with the painting, and he tells, if you knock something over, put it back, blah, blah, blah. He goes over to the corner, and Chunk had knocked something over. He goes to put it back, but he found a glass, like, picture frame. And was looking at it, and then he gets this idea, and he yells for Chunk to come over there. And he hands Chunk the painting, and the frame just doesn't say anything. It just starts counting down. Like, he knows Chunk is so fucking clumsy that it wasn't going to take him any time to break. He didn't want to break into it.
Right.
But it's like, if he could say that Chunk broke it, he could be honest and say he didn't do it. So the glass breaks. They pull out the map. The older brother, Brand, tells them all about, like, it's all horseshit. None of it's true.
Now, this map was very homemade by the producer. Like, he aged it very much like I did at Halloween with my spell bottles, like with paint and coffee. He aged it with like paint and coffee. But the prop department ran out of fake blood because, that's a thing. So this gangster ass motherfucker needed blood on his map. So he cut his fucking hand open and dribbled his own blood on this fucking treasure map.
I feel like that's an OSHA violation or something. Like, you can go get some food coloring.
Like, here, I'm going to put my blood all over this map so all you kids can handle this for 3 months, okay? Cool.
Now, technically, if blood is soaked up into a paper towel or into something else, as long as you don't have a cut and it's dried blood, you're good.
Still gross.
But, so they find the map, and the map is drawn out, and there are clues on the map, but they're all in Spanish, and that's where Mouth comes in, and he kind of deciphers.
Do you not find that suspect? That this
Not
little
really.
white kid in the middle of Oregon in the 80s speaks perfect Spanish?
No, because
why?
It's not too much of a stretch, like, if you look at him, to say that maybe somebody in his family, maybe not his mom or his dad, but somebody in his family could have been Spanish of some sort, or Hispanic. But he comes in handy, other than he was fucking with Rosalita the whole time.
Right. Then they find Chester Copperpot's
article.
Right.
Where he went and searched for the treasure,
and he has the key.
Never came back.
So, Mikey wants to go look for this treasure, and nobody else wants any part of it.
But Mikey is kind of slick and kind of convinces all the other kids, other than his brother, to go with it. His brother's working out with this stupid-ass spring contraption.
Yeah.
These kids have worked together before, because Mikey holds up the map, he just fingers around the map, and squeezes it, and everybody's just kind of nods once, and they're like, hey, Brand, and then the kids basically bum rush him. Mikey jumps on top in the front, two of the kids grab one hand each and pull the thing back, and the one kid went to the back to stretch them and twist them through.
Right.
So Brand is now locked into this chair, and they take off. They're going to go where the map says to go find this treasure.
Right. They also let the air out of his new bike tires.
Yeah,
so they can't follow him.
They take off on an adventure.
Can we just quickly say that throughout this movie, Mikey uses his inhaler.
Mikey's OD'd on albuterol.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, is it... I mean, it's an inhaler. It has to be, like, the same general things it is now, right? Like, it has to be albuterol.
Yeah.
Now, I have an inhaler. And I'll use it, like, once in a great while. But I usually do 2 puffs when I do. And it will get my heart rate going. Like, I can use it at the gym. Like, use it before I go to the gym. And when I do, like, the heart monitor thing on the equipment, my heart rate will already be at 120. Like, my heart is fucking moving when I use that albuterol. So by the end of this movie, his heart has to explode.
Not necessarily. Not if you have fairly severe asthma. There's kids that do a lot more.
He's not gasping. He never has an asthma attack. He never, like, he just fucking hitting the shit out of that inhaler.
I think it's more of a crutch to him.
Yeah, because he eventually tosses it.
So, their mom sends Bran out to get his brother.
Well, hold on. Before they run away, these people with the country club come to, like, serve papers to be signed or whatever. And they tell them their dad's not home, their mom's not home. And these people, like, serve these little kids these papers to kick them out of their house. Like, they are the douchebaggiest of douchebags I've ever seen.
Well, when he comes later, that's Troy's dad, and Troy is also a douchebag.
Oh, I didn't know it was Troy's dad.
Yeah, at the very end, he's behind his dad.
Mm.
So it looks like a deed. Like he's signing over the deed so they can tear down their house and make this golf course or whatever.
Now, how about Mom wanted Rosalita to clean after she packed because she would really like the house to be clean before they tear it down.
That's some weird shit.
Yeah.
Mom sent Brand out to go get his brother. He goes to get his bike and the kids have flattened his tires, and he steals this little girl's bike.
With the training wheels and everything. That's when you meet Troy, who you just called a douchebag. Because Brandon's been biking down this road for fuck ass ever on this little girl's bike. Like, just knees to his chin. And Troy comes up and grabs his wrist and won't let go, and he's just pedaling as hard as he can, and he eventually lets go, and he, slingshots him into the woods, and I feel like that's attempted murder.
Definitely wanton endangerment.
Yeah, at least. He has 2 girls in the car, and they're, hitting him, trying to get him to let him go. The movie's full of 80s douchebags, though.
So the kids find, as they're biking along this, kind of like a paved trail, there's a couple of rocks out on the coast that are markers on this map for where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And they find the markers, and they end up kind of backtracking a little bit. And
they have a doubloon or something that has slots cut into it that has to match up to it.
There's 3 slots, and there's 2 rocks, and then there's an old encampment that's now a restaurant. And the restaurant lines up with the 2 rocks.
The rock and a lighthouse.
Something like that. So it leads them to the restaurant, but before they get there, they see 2 people walk. I think those were the FBI agents.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the kids is wondering, it's fall. Why is this? This is a summer place, like a tourist place.
Right. Why is it
what's
open?
going on?
And
the other kids,
they get real close, and you hear gunshots.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh no, somebody probably just dropped a pan."
So the other kids are trying to figure out how to get in. or just actually they're just kind of like creeping around, looking for a way under the place without being seen by other people.
Right.
Chunk goes around the other side, and there's a little like shed.
Like the garage.
He opens the door and he sees the Jeep that was
From
in the police
the car
chase.
chase earlier, and it has bullet holes in it.
And it has bullet holes in it. He starts freaking out. He tries to tell the other kids. And they're not listening to him because he's Chunk and he fucking lies all the time.
Fucking cried wolf too many times.
So they walk in and Mom sees them.
Ma Beagle.
And kind of
scares the shit out of them.
She's yelling, but she's not yelling.
Everybody
time she
in
talks
this whole,
is yelling.
Everybody in this whole goddamn movie is yelling. Like, they yell, all the kids fucking yell over each other all the time. And then the Fratellis yell over each other all the time. And just everybody fucking yells. Like, were people harder of hearing in the 80s? Like, why the fuck is everybody yelling? God.
So
It's my chief complaint with the whole movie. And spoiler alert later for Ratchet Reviews, it's everybody else's chief complaint too, god damn it.
the kids kind of play off as they're there because it's a restaurant. And the son, Jake, I guess, plays it off. I don't know if he was speaking French or Italian.
And he was speaking Italian. Because they're Fratellis, which means brother in Italian.
Yeah, but what if they were originally Italian, moved to France, and now they speak French?
What if you just ate my dick?
So anyway, he was speaking Italian to his mom. But they don't tell you, like, subtitles or anything, what they were saying.
Right.
You just kind of get the gist of it, and they just kind of go along. And I really hope that wasn't water that Mom brought out to him.
They said they wanted water, and she told them to sit down, and she gives them 4 glasses of some kind of brown. It looked like liquor. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't think this is water. She's like, it's liquid, isn't it?
No, she said it's wet.
Either way.
So Mikey comes up with a plan. He says he's got to pee.
He doesn't say he has to pee. He starts yelling and screaming that he has to pee.
So she tells him it's on the basement. Stay to the right. Stay to the right. She yells that to him.
Mm-hmm.
He goes down there, pulls out his map, starts looking around, and Jake is feeding a chained man in a room while singing to him.
Opera, because they're Italian.
Kind of scares the shit out of Mikey. But Jake's coming out, and Mikey has to kind of duck behind the door so he's not seen.
Right. Him and the chain man are having a bit of an argument.
Yeah. So they lock the door. You see the guy that's chained up take this big-ass tray of food.
Well, no. They didn't lock the door because he didn't have the tray of food because Douche Knuckle didn't give it to him because they got into a fight. He left it behind him. He couldn't get it. Mikey takes like a broom or something and pushes it over to him. Gives him his food. Did you think it was weird that he just left his friends up there with this person? With this lunatic who threatened to chop their tongues out moments before while he went exploradoring down in the cavern?
He was focused. He wanted to find One-Eyed Willie's treasure.
I reckon. But when he comes back up, like his brother's suddenly there and she just lets them all go home with their brother.
Yeah, she's going to let him leave.
It was very weird.
Then the Fratellis take one of the bodies.
Well, hold on. Because this is where I sympathize most with her. Because Brandon takes the kids and leaves, and she shuts the door and leans against it, and she goes, kids suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that.
So the Fratellis take one of the bodies. I don't know why they didn't take 2. That Jeep has plenty of room. Yeah, they could have just carried one out, went back, carried the other one. That Jeep had plenty of room for 2 bodies. Mikey talks them back into going in. They look in the basement. He's basically looking for the lowest point in the building. Chunk knocks over this glass water bottle thing, and it drains. Like, all the water goes under the fireplace and drains.
Shit?
I don't think so.
You got that while they took... Maybe I stopped listening, I don't know. They got out with the brother, and then the Fratellis left, and then they snuck back in. You said all that?
Yeah.
Okay. They also now have the girls that were in Troy's car.
Yeah, because when the Fratellis left, the girls showed up.
Right.
So everybody's downstairs. Mikey's like, wait a minute. He's listening to the water. He's like, that sounds pretty deep. And they notice that there's a drain under the fireplace. They open it up. They find the tunnel. Well, as they're trying to figure out if the tunnel's safe or not, the Fratellis come back. They have to let me back up a little bit. Fat ass Chunk apparently can smell ice cream through a commercial freezer.
And in the container.
In a dark, dank ass basement.
In the container.
In the container.
I can have a Ben & Jerry's pint in my hand and not smell it through the pint.
Like, so he opens the freezer and he's looking at all these pints of ice cream and there's just...
Oblivious to the full-grown dead man standing in the freezer.
Everybody else is just looking at him like, dude.
Yeah.
So they're struggling to get the body back in the freezer when the Fratellis come.
They also, before that, discover that it's a counterfeiting operation they got going on in the basement. Or $50 bills.
Dollar bills, y'all. So Chunk is kind of stuck in the freezer. Everybody else kind of ducks down into the tunnel.
Right. They just left Chunk in the freezer. They left his ass in there.
It was probably better for everybody's safety. But they didn't leave. They ducked down into the tunnel to hide, but they stayed there. They're like, Chunk's still in there. Well, he gets the body situated, and he actually gets out trying to avoid the Fratellis. They come over. It's like, you have to go get the police. You have to, so somebody can save us. We're going to hide down. Chuck knocks something over, finds a window. He gets out of the window before they get down. The Fratellis get downstairs.
He fucks his way into some luck a lot.
Yeah. Then he also fucks up here in a minute when he ran away. Yeah. Because as he's running away, he just runs out into traffic, happens to see a car. He just starts blurting out everything he's seen, and oblivious to the fact that the car he's talking to is the same Jeep that he saw in the police chase and the garage.
Yeah.
He's yelling that he knows these people to these people.
He's the only one that has seen the car twice.
Yeah.
He saw it in the police chase. He saw it in the garage. He knows what it looks like.
This is a third time.
And now for the third time, and he's like, I gotta talk to the police about the Fratellis. I can identify them all.
I can describe every one of them.
I know what's going on. And he just turns the light on, and he's like, oh, shit. But dude, really? Really, motherfucker?
Let's go back to Chunk being clumsy, and he can be manipulated very easily. When the Fratellis left with the body, they locked the door. Mm-hmm. Mouse just starts telling Chunk that he has pictures of his mom naked, asks him if he wants to buy them. Mm-hmm. Makes him mad, and Chunk's like, I've had enough, and Mouse steps out of the way, and Chunk knocks the door down.
Right. Or
breaks the lock on the door and knocks it up. So the Fratellis take Chunk back and lock him into the room with...
No. They have him, they're questioning him. And they keep threatening to they have a blender, and they keep threatening to put his hand in the blender. And he tells them, I'll tell you everything I know. They're in the fireplace. They're in the tunnel under the fireplace, and they don't believe him because they don't know there to be a tunnel under the fireplace. And they're like, you need to tell us the whole story. So this motherfucker just starts admitting to shit. He's like, okay, in first grade I did this, and in second grade, and then I threw up at the movie theater, and I pushed my sister down the stairs, and I blamed it on the dog.
They cut back to like the other kids, and then back to him like 3 times.
Right.
And he's just still
and
telling shit.
They're getting real tired of his nonsense, but we need to go in the tunnels to link up before we talk about what happens to him. So they're running around in these tunnels. They get really lost. They end up in a room full of pipes. And they're like, I think talking to Mouth, and they're like, hey, your dad's a plumber. What are these pipes? He's like, okay, these are gas pipes. These are water pipes. He was like, these should go to a building somewhere. Just bang on them. We'll get somebody's attention. So they start banging and pulling on pipes. And then you see, like, up in Surface World, like, a water fountain's, like, moving up and down. They rip, like, the shower faucets out of the country club wall.
One guy's on the toilet. He gets,
they explode.
Like a super enema.
They explode a toilet, and at that point they're like, oh, it's too much pressure, run.
And that when that one pipe burst, it actually dissolved or kind of knocked away some of the dirt, and they had to walk through this hole that was created by the water.
Right. But did you see, while they were showing all the country club stuff, the one guy had like soap on a rope around his neck like a necklace?
Yes.
I thought that was a bit weird. And then the younger kid that was using the toilet in the country club, I thought I missed something and it went to a prison for a second, because he's just dressed head to toe in an orange like sweatsuit. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, well, he got
his.
He got his. He was daddy at the end.
Yeah.
It was weird. So
they keep going through the tunnels. They find.
Yeah, they stumble onto Copperpot.
The dead body that turns out to be Chester Copperpot. I feel like he's probably British. I feel like he's Chester Copperpot.
Okay.
I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. Anybody in England that is listening to my god-awful accent, I apologize. So sorry.
At the same time, the group also, data finds candles.
They find
which are
candles,
dynamite.
which is fucking dynamite. And they find Copperpot's key.
Yeah. Mickey puts that around his neck.
Right.
Mikey.
Yep.
Damn it.
I'm just going to let you call him whatever the fuck you want.
And here's where Mikey is a little bit clueless, because he has talked about booby traps. He's talked about them.
Yeah.
He finds a rope in this sandy,
like a
silty dirt, and he just starts pulling and keeps pulling. If I find a rope like that, I'm like, wait a minute. Let me see where this leads without touching it.
Yeah, who the fuck pulls a tripwire?
Mikey, apparently.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
That sets off a chain reaction to a booby trap from One-Eyed Willie.
Right. It drops like 3 stones and blocks the path.
They end up going through deeper into the tunnel. Basically, they're now in like a cave system, not in a building.
Right. And the girls are fucking hysterical and frankly a little bit aggravating.
Yeah.
But there's this like hole cut out of this rock, and then there's like a rock rolled in front of it, kind of like Jesus' tomb. And Brandon goes to move it, and the blonde girl? Stephanie says, God put that rock there for a reason. I don't feel like you should move it. I was like, that's a weird thing to say, but okay. He moves it, and the fakest bats I have ever seen in my whole goddamn life
1985.
come flying out. Now, it said that the bats were made from bow ties and black crumpled up crepe paper.
Yeah, I think when they
shot out of an air cannon.
When there were a lot of bats, that's what there were like 3 or 4 bats that were the same kind of deal, but they were a little bit more detailed, that they hovered around the kids.
Right. The ones that they hovered around the kids were clearly on a fishing wire, and just, oh my God, they were the worst like Halloween bats I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life. Even for 1985.
It wasn't that bad.
It was that fucking bad.
It wasn't that bad.
It was that bad.
So they go deeper into this cave system. They find a waterfall.
Well, hold on. The bats come gushing out, and he goes back to the Fratellis interviewing Chunk, and the bats fly up out of the hole under the fireplace. So now they have to blend, because they're getting ready to blend this motherfucker's hand.
Well,
because they're tired of shit of him confessing to all of his childhood crimes. So they have his hand in the blender, and all these bats come flying up.
Before the bats, the booby trap that let the boulders fall caused a shockwave to come up through, like a bunch of dust and stuff blew up through that tunnel and blew that little log holder up, and then the bats came through.
But the bats came through, so they were like, what the fuck, this kid's for real. And he starts screaming, if you can hear me, they're coming after you. If you can hear me. And
he was true to his friends to that point.
Well, here's my question. Do you think he's exceedingly stupid or exceedingly smart?
He's not exceedingly smart. He was just lucky in that respect.
He just kept talking about all this dumbass childhood shit he did.
But the very first thing he said... Do you think
that's him stalling?
The very first thing he said was they're in the tunnels.
I know, but then when they didn't believe him...
I think that was his, shit, I fucked up, now I'm stalling.
But then that's when they put him in the room with Fucking, I'm the only one that haven't seen this movie. They put him in the room with Sloth.
Yeah. So the other kids find a wishing well. They think it's the treasure. Like, all they see is shiny shit through this waterfall.
Right.
Then they realize there's a well somewhere around the middle of town. People are throwing their pennies and loose change down there.
Yeah, because, having not seen it, Mouth picks it up and he starts talking about all this Lincoln and this and that. And I was like, I don't think the pirate would have coins with. Well, he starts taking the coins and Stephanie's like, you can't take those. Those are somebody's wishes.
But to Mouth's credit, he's like, this one was my wish. It never fucking came true. I'm taking it back. As a matter of fact, I'm taking all these.
Mm-hmm.
So they start gathering up change. But during this time, it cuts back to the Fratellis and Chunk. And Chunk had just got done saying something. No, he just got proved right because of the bats in the tunnel. While they're all talking amongst each other, and they kind of let him go, he grabs a pint of ice cream. He's like, I told you it was true. It just starts fucking chowing down.
Hungry.
Ain't nobody as fat at heart as Chunk is.
It says that, like, the dude reaches down and takes the ice cream, and then he fucking reaches down and takes the spoon, and he starts crying. And he said it wasn't in the script for him to start crying, and you can hear the producer laugh like they left it in, like he couldn't contain it.
So they decided they need to keep Chunk. They tie him up with Sloth. So Chunk's kind of scared of Sloth at first, and because Sloth's always been locked away, he doesn't really have much in the way of communication skills. He just kind of yells and hollers words he's heard before, and he just kind of is trying to say hi to Chunk, but he scares the shit out of him. And Chunk starts like trying to jump out of his chair, and Sloth's like, "Oh, that's fun!" Starts doing it, and it just kind of jacks Chunk up more. Chunk finally calms down. He pulls out a baby Ruth out of his pocket. He's like, "Hey, if you're hungry, I got this." And he tries to throw it over to Sloth. And he hits Sloth with it and falls on the floor. Sloth's trying to reach for it. He's like, I'm sorry. He tries to kick it over to him, and Sloth gets mad and basically unchains himself from the wall to get this candy bar.
With chains that they stole from the zoo to chain him up.
Yep.
But yeah, he snaps both of the chains off the wall and gets this candy bar, and Chunk's like, damn, you're hungrier than I am.
Sloth is like, he just kind of beats his chest. He's like, Sloth. And Chunk's like, Chunk. So they introduce themselves, and Sloth is very happy to have a friend. Like, there's a stranger that did something nice for him. Chunk's like, you smell like Fizz Ed. Kind of cracked me up.
But, so back in the cave, they're in this waterfall. Well, they're basically under the well. And Troy and a bunch of his douchebag friends are outside in the well, wishing that they can nail the girl that's stuck in the well.
Well, Troy's wishing.
Yeah, still.
He's bragging about how he's going to do it and all that crap.
Uh-huh. But he throws a coin in and they throw it back out. And he's like, what the hell? So she's like, we're stuck. You have to help us out. Lower the bucket. And she gets in the bucket and they're going to pull her out. And Mikey gives, I'm going to get so roasted.
He tries to give a motivational speech, but he's only like 9-10 years old. So he's not old enough to be articulate.
It's not a great speech, guys. I'm sorry. It's our time down here. It's their time up there, but it's our time down here. It's not a great speech. But they said that they didn't want him to, like, memorize the lines for it. So, like, they told him basically, like, a story. It was like, this is kind of what we want you to say. And now you say it back to us and turn on the cameras. And then he kind of, like, improvised, like, what he took from it. Kind of like if we were to tell our nephew, okay, these are what, and then he fucks it the fuck up when he tells it back to you because he can't tell a story to save his life, I think is what happened. I think what they had written was probably better, and that's just what it turned into.
He probably got close to it.
Yeah, I hope not.
But he convinces them to stay down there, at least look. Like, what's the point in going back up there and giving up when they already made it that far?
Right.
Like, he brought up Copper Pot. Like, we've made it farther than he did.
Right.
So I guess they tugged on the rope, and the guys bring up what they thought was going to be Andy. And I don't know what girl weighs about as much as
A bucket.
a jacket.
Yeah.
Because she stuck Troy's jacket on the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And he got pissed at it. Like, he doesn't know exactly what that jacket meant. Like,
Yeah, he does.
yeah, but...
no. She returned his jacket.
Oh.
Yeah. That's significant.
Kind of like when you said if some girl brought Mox's jacket but in Varsity Blues.
How do you work Varsity Blues into every podcast?
That girl, where she's naked, so he gives her his jacket. How you would not believe.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't, like, hey, fucking Tweeter showed up in a cop car with 3 other naked chicks. I gave her my jacket because she didn't have any clothes on, and I left. You wouldn't believe that.
I wouldn't believe it, but I would be mad even if it was true.
Even if it was
Why'd
true.
you give her your jacket?
They took all their clothes off and Tweeter took off.
That sounds like their fucking problem. Nobody needs this fucking bitch coming to high school wearing your jacket stirring up trouble.
So I'm just saying I guess it's similar to that.
Right. It was very symbolic, the return of the jacket. He knew exactly what it meant. I mean, he wasn't gonna nail Andy. They go through some more little caves and they find some riddle about 3 stones. And they take Copperpot's key and line it up to the stones, and then they're like, okay, turn it. And they turn it counterclockwise, which seemed weird to me, but whatever. And it traps Mikey's hand in there, and another Rube Goldberg-esque trap kicks in. They were really this had to be the height of that shit, because there's 900 of them in here. They all seem to have to do with bowling balls or cannonballs rolling down
start off
with
a ball rolling down some rails.
But it opens up a thing and drops data into a spike pit. And he shoots up one of his little gadgets that's these teeth on a spring, and it catches him.
Yeah.
On the way down, he screams, "Oh, SHIT," because he promised his mommy if she let him be in the movie, he wouldn't cuss.
So
he saved himself with his little gadgets.
He saved himself, but there's also that pit leads into the room, I guess, that advances them towards the treasure.
Right.
So everybody else, I guess, rappels down a rope that's there later. You don't really see. But in the meantime, him and Sloth have gotten out of that room. Mm-hmm. And Chunk grabbed the phone, calls the sheriff.
Right.
And he's like, hey, this is what's going on. And he's like, Lawrence, which apparently his real name. Are you telling stories again? Blah, blah. Is this like the time you told me about all the creatures you pour water on that multiply? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Is this like this
poor
time?
Little Lawrence was telling the truth then.
About the gremlins.
Because that's just gremlins. He was telling the truth.
So that was a reference to gremlins.
The sheriff just needs to start believing on Lawrence.
And then he brought up all these other times, about this one, about that one, blah, blah, blah. Well, Sloth was doing something at the time, and Chunk was trying to see what he was doing. He ends up pulling the phone cord out and just kind of cuts.
Right, which seems to freak out the cop a little bit.
Yeah, but he never went and checked.
I think he did.
No, I think the parents reported him missing or something.
It could be. Meanwhile, back in the tunnel, it's pee break time.
Yeah.
Mikey's like, okay, who has to pee? And everybody raises their hand. He's like, all right, this cave will be the little boy's room. That cave will be the little girl's room. And then Brandon goes in a different cave. And he's like, where are you going? He's like, to the men's room. And then all the little boys funnel out of the little boys' room cave and go in the men's room. It was very cute. While they're peeing, Andy decides she wants to kiss Brandon.
So she starts leading him through this cave system, kind of in the dark.
Well, she hollers for him repeatedly. And he says, he hollers at Mikey, and he says, go see what she's ragging about.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird.
Bitch, fuck you, number one.
And they don't seem like they come from a home where their dad would have used that term.
No.
Their dad's very
proper.
academic, proper.
Right. Yeah.
Mom definitely wouldn't have used it either. Just
Yeah, I don't think
seemed
so
out of place.
Yeah. But so little Mickey goes to see what she's ragging about and gets the surprise kiss that's meant for Brandon. But
and
also
Stephanie sees the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because she had, when they went back there, and she's like, what's going on? And she has the lantern. She holds up. She starts laughing. And when they come out, and she starts asking Andy how it was to, like...
She was like, it feels weird. He doesn't have braces, does he? Because it felt
Would you
weird.
have told...
And she was like, you should really start kissing with your eyes open. And she's like, be careful. I think there's a hole around here somewhere. I think he was standing in a hole. Like, bitch. Like, they are clearly different physical specimens here. Like, you can't tell the difference between this 10-year-old boy and this teenager that seems to do nothing but work out. Like, you can't tell the difference between Rudy and Thanos. Like, what are you doing?
So it cuts back to Chunk and Sloth, and they're in the room with all the pipes, and everything's busted and leaking everywhere, and Chunk's just like, yeah, Mikey's been through here all right.
Yeah.
But I thought that was weird, because Mikey doesn't seem like the type to fuck shit up.
Right.
It's usually Chunk's department.
He leaves that to Chunk.
But then they cut back to the Fratellis going through the cave, and Mom Fratelli is just hooking it. Like, she is going through that cave like it's nothing. Like, breakneck speed. Her younger sons, which are gotta be 40 years younger than she is, are struggling to keep up. They are almost caught up. Everybody's trying to cross this, it's like a log with some log over this stream. And there were some ropes, but the ropes fell.
Right.
So everybody kind of slowly going across it. And Dad is the last one through, and he yells "slick shoes," presses a button, and then his shoes start spitting oil out of the back.
Nikes open up.
Everybody had Nikes on.
Look how awful these bats is.
Those are the better bats. Yeah, you can even see the strings.
I mean, at best, those are some Party City fucking Dollar Tree bats.
Nah, they looked a little bit better than that.
No, they didn't.
Party City is nowhere near the Dollar Tree.
I could make you better bats than that right now with what's in my room.
Yeah, but it would take you a while. They were pressed for time.
They were not pressed for time.
Mm-hmm. They shot this movie in 5 months.
You know, they shot it in 5 months, and they shot it, like, in order. Like,
almost. They said almost.
That's not a thing that's done. That's really weird.
Dad pours the oil all over the
log.
The Fratellis crush their nuts on it. And the next thing, cross the log, you go up some rocks, you're in the room with this bone organ. Like a piano organ made out of bones with a skeleton sitting there. And the keys are basically your fingers.
The phalanges.
At the very beginning, before the kids go on their adventure, holding up the map, you can see the notes on the back of the map. So they flip the map over, they see the notes. You have to play it in order without making many mistakes.
I think it said you get like 3 mistakes and you're dead.
So Andy has had piano lessons in the past and kind of knew what she was doing. She made some mistakes, and around the organ is just like
the floor just starts
circle
falling.
of rocks, and you press the wrong keys, sections of that circle keep falling. You press the right keys in sequence, this rock drawbridge basically lowers a little bit more each time you press the right ones. They end up getting it. They run through.
The Fratellis are like right
hot
there,
on the
though.
trail, yeah. They run through and they end up finding like a large cavern with the boat. Is that it?
Well, hold on. While the Fratellis are still after them, while she's playing the piano, Data uses his little belt contraption he's got going on, and a boxing glove comes out and punches him and knocks him back into the water, giving him a little more time.
Oh, after the bone organ, there was a sweet ass water slide that led into the lagoon.
Right.
Where the ship was.
Now, they said that they didn't let anybody see the ship until then so that their wow reactions would be real. And they actually built this goddamn ship. Like, for real, built this giant fucking ship. And then at the end, they were like, anybody wants this thing, you can have it. Nobody would fucking take it because it's a fucking full-size fucking pirate ship.
I can't believe nobody.
So
they weren't asking the right people.
They took it apart and gave most of it to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disney that was being refurbished.
That was the ride before the movie?
Yes, the movie is based off of the ride.
Ain't that some shit? Those are some pretty good movies.
They are. Now, there's also a little hidden R2-D2 on the bridge of the ship.
So they go into the ship and they're always looking for One-Eyed Willie's treasure. And all I can picture when they keep saying, they never say treasure, they say the rich things or whatever he was saying. All I can think of is some cheesy porno. One-Eyed Willie gives this hooker his treasure as the money shot. And it just keeps making me giggle inside.
I see.
So they find the treasure.
Well, they're looking.
After some missions.
And Andy, picks up this doll, which is hooked to a thing, which releases some gunpowder, which raises a cannon, which opens a plank. So they bust through the plank, and Mikey goes up into this room, and he's like, everything's fine, I just need a minute. And walks around and finds the treasure. And
Mikey's kind of crazy at this point, because he introduces himself to One-Eyed Willie. And I could see...
He's like, you've been expecting me, haven't you?
I could see this happening with somebody more like Indiana Jones. You've been searching for something your entire life.
Yeah, he's been searching 5 hours.
Indiana Jones was basically a historical scholar that searched for the Ark his entire adult career.
Right.
He wasn't like this young buck. He was in his 40s, 50s by the time he got to that point. So he had decades of looking for this shit. So I could see Indiana Jones looking for that as being this has been a long time coming. Let me soak this in. And he has this conversation with Willie. And then when everybody comes in, they've been watching him. It's kind of awkward. They all start to load up on the treasure. And he stops somebody from grabbing. There's a scale and it had a bunch of gold coins in it. He was like, no. That's Willie's share. We'll leave that for him. Not knowing that was actually another booby trap.
Right.
So they take everything they can, but the Fratellis come. They're on the boat. They make him drop everything. Mouth shows why he has that name. He has about, $3.2 million worth of shit in his mouth.
They said in real life, he actually, in one take, had all that shit in his mouth.
So, Fratellis tie everybody up, and then she makes Andy walk the plank.
I liked that while they were taking all the gold, they were making a plan of how to get rid of the Fratellis. They were going to leave some treasure into one cave, and when they went in that cave, they would double back and then escape. And they're just like, yeah, that's a good plan. They're standing right fucking
Actually,
there.
It was more like, yeah, sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah, Ma Beagle's been smoking for a while. Yeah. They tie Andy's hands up, make her walk the plank, and then without hesitation, old Brandon just runs off the fucking ship and saves her ass.
I was trying to think, would it be hard to swim with your hands tied? Yes. Would you have sunk like she did?
No, because you still have feet.
Yeah. What you do...
you tread some water, you kick
feet,
up. And speaking as a woman...
She was not as well endowed.
No, I got some big old floaties, but they'll keep you upright.
So, if you're not as well endowed, when you are forced off that plank, everybody's natural reaction is to take a deep breath in and hold it. That is going to bring you to the surface. Kick your feet. You can still move your hands and kind of scoop out water with your hands. You can still do that. So she could have still...
But she doesn't even have to. She just has to kick her fucking feet.
Even if her hands were tied at her waist, down, when they bring a prisoner out in shackles and they're handcuffed, but there's a chain around their waist and the handcuffs through those, you can still hold your breath, lean to your back, lean up, catch a few breaths, hold it, and if you need to, you sink down a little bit, but you holding your breath is going to keep you afloat.
Yeah, she could float on her back.
Yeah.
She could kick her feet and tread water. She had options other than
she would have lasted a while before she could have got to the edge where she could hold onto a rock.
she had other options other than to drown. She wasn't using any of them.
It wasn't like she was in the middle of the ocean and she was just exhausted from the swells coming by and trying to stay up, and then eventually lost her strength and couldn't swim. Yeah, she sank like a brick.
There were no wakes. Like, it was a perfectly still lagoon.
Don't know what I wrote.
But at this point, she's walked the plank. They're trying to get the kids to walk the plank, and Sloth and Chunk sail in on a rope, take a knife, and use it to cut down the sail and kind of cushion their fall, like they had watched on the black and white TV while they were locked together in the little dungeon.
Oh, you're talking about Sloth and Chunk?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. But Sloth and Chunk come in and save the day.
Hey, you guys!
Yeah, that. So what do you think the deal with Sloth is? Like,
I think
you later learn
he was dropped a couple times.
That he was dropped a couple of times, but like, did Ma Beagle fuck Pa Beagle, or?
Oh yeah, so I think he just had a birth defect, and they
a few of them
kept it. Yeah, and they just kept him chained up because he was different. They didn't know how to deal with him. Like, obviously he seems perfectly fine enough. He's getting along with Chunk, and they communicated well enough to get there. And he knew exactly who was in the wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was fucking his brothers up.
Yeah.
He threw his mom off the plank.
I have that, too. He fucks his brothers up, ties them up. And then his mom's, like, trying to make nice with him. She's like, remember when I used to sing to you? And they're holding each other. And she starts singing Rockabye Baby. And she's like, when the bow breaks, the baby will fall. And he starts screaming. And she's like, no, I only dropped you once. And he, like, touches his eye. And she's like, maybe twice. But fall is Sloth's fucking trigger word. Because he throws her ass right off the boat.
Well, then she climbs back on the boat.
Yeah.
They get the treasure that the kids got. They try to take the treasure from the table.
Well, hold on. Back to her drowning. Brandon jumps in and saves her. He takes her over to a rock. He's trying to, like, untie her. She doesn't let him untie her. She just puts her hands around him and kisses her.
Oh, Andy's a freak.
And then goes, where are your braces?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, God damn it, that kid. I'm going to kick Mikey's ass. I was like, it ain't Mikey's fault you wanted to know why she was ragging.
Yeah.
Bitch.
So, them pulling the treasure off, like, Willie's share, activates that booby trap. Causes a lot of shit. It takes a while. But
yes, because it's the fucking theme of the movie.
The kids are also at the very end of the lagoon. They can see through the rocks. There's some light coming through. They're going to try to get through there. Brandon asks for a light. Dad pulls out his candles. They light it and go, oh shit, this is a stick of dynamite, and they run for the water. That blows up.
Right, it blows the hole in the wall for them to get out.
Blows the hole in the wall from them to get out, but a boulder slides in place and kind of blocks them from getting out.
Right, they're trying to pick it up, and Sloth picks it up, and he escapes, or everybody escapes through his legs. He can't get out, and he's like saying his goodbyes to Chunk. He's like, I love you, but you're about to get crushed. And then the boulder falls. And at that moment, you think that Sloth's just history.
Yeah.
And at that point, I wondered if George R. Martin was just a big Goonies fan. And based Hodor on Sloth.
Huh.
Also, they keep calling Brandon Brand.
That's his legit credit on the...
They call him Brandon often as well.
Well, there was just Brand on there.
But...
I think his mom calls him Brandon once.
But I just found all that, I think he's a fan.
So Sloth saves the Goonies.
Yes.
They run out on the beach. There's two guys on four-wheelers. They come.
The cops.
It's like, there they are now. Then the rest of the search party kind of shows up.
Right, their families. Which a lot of them were the actors' actual families.
So...
Everybody's kind of congratulating each other and everything, even though all they did was fucking survive. They didn't get the treasure. And Andy goes up to Mikey, and it's like, if you keep kissing girls like that, something, the things you have will make up for the things that don't work well. Talking about his lungs and his asthma, But I was like, does Mikey have like early onset erectile dysfunction? Like what? Like some things don't work well, but he's skilled with the mouth. Like what? What?
Maybe his his pep talk was she thought the same thing he did. He's just not as smooth.
Yeah. Like, damn, you're dumb, but nice kiss, buddy.
In the meantime, that last booby trap kind of shakes the cave loose, and you see a lot of the rocks just give way, and this whole lagoon opens up to the ocean. So Sloth and the Fratellis come running through, and the cops get them, and they're trying to, I guess, arrest Sloth too, and all the kids go up and protect him.
Right, I think they were just gonna shoot him.
And Chunk's mom brought him Domino. Like, she just had Dominoes at the ready for when he was found. Like,
his favorite.
So he's like throwing this Dominoes box around, trying to shield Sloth. They end up arresting the bad Fratellis.
Chunk tells Sloth
that he's going to come live with
You're going to come live with us now. You're one of us. I'm going to take care of you. I love you. That seems like something you need to ask your parents about.
Yeah. But let's back up to Andy. Her telling Mikey he's going to be just fine.
Kiss.
Well, she turns around, talks to Brandon, like kisses Brandon. And Mikey and Brandon's parents are like, the dad's like, what? And the mom's like, let's just let her parents worry about her.
I think I missed that.
Yeah. She's like, let's let her parents worry about her. She's going to be an issue later. Like,
huh. But it said in the novelization, which I didn't really know there was, that Chunk's parents do take him home and adopt him and give him a nice home, and he even gets a little bar mitzvah. They raise him Jewish.
I think they said they had some stories after the movie.
I have no idea. The country club people show up.
Oh, yeah.
And are like on the beach, like, hey, great that your kids were just found. I'm going to need you to sign this paper because it's officially tomorrow and sign your house over to me. And like, Dad's getting ready to sign it. And
Rosalita checks Mikey's jacket.
Yeah, which is kind of weird, but whatever.
Well, she's in job mode. Hey, I'm still packing their shit. This is going to go with their shit. She, like any good mom, checks the pockets. Never know what kids have in their pockets.
Finds his marble bag, but it's just full of the jewels.
Yeah. And she starts yelling out. And to her credit, she could have just pocketed that whole bag. Nobody would have known any different.
Right.
Because Mikey thought the Fratellis took the bag. She's yelling. She doesn't quite know how to say it, but she's yelling out, and they get mouth to translate. He finally figures out that, don't sign. So Dad takes the paper back, and then she dumps out the jewels in the mom's hands.
I think so.
So he rips up the papers. They're not gonna sell their house or whatever.
Right. So everybody gets to keep their house, and then like they're interviewing the kids. And like, what all happened? What was the scariest part? What's going on? Like, oh, we're happy to be alive. And then Dad is like, the scariest part was the octopus. And I was like, the fuck? But apparently they cut the octopus fight out in the lagoon.
Yeah, it's weird that they cut that whole scene out and then left
that. Movies tend to do that a lot. You like to talk about Varsity Blues so much. They leave
trains.
a whole...
You don't like trains? I like trains.
They leave all kinds of references to that cut scene.
I feel like I would have liked that scene.
I'm sure you would have. Like, nobody's really believing them about this pirate ship, and then you see the pirate ship sail away. Credits.
Cyndi Lauper made an appearance.
She wrote a song for it, too. This was Josh Brolin's first movie.
Chunk lost all his weight.
Chunk is a lawyer. This was his only movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Only one?
This was his only movie. Now he's a lawyer.
He's probably glad he's not.
Now, the actor who played Sloth was an NFL football player. He was the first round draft pick in the 1973 draft. Went on to win 2 Super Bowls. That's a full-ass life.
To bring things full circle, you say he was drafted by the Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
But he plays, I guess, most famous for playing with the Raiders.
He won 2 Super Bowls with the Raiders.
So it's kind of fair that his family, they were basically Raiders in the movie.
He wears a Raider shirt early on in the movie. You got to take a stab at the
Tomatometer.
What do you think it is?
I kind of saw the.
Can you stop kind of seeing?
I accidentally saw. I think the critics was 71.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience was like 91.
Yeah. The critics' consensus was an energetic, sometimes noisy mix of Spielbergian sentiment and funhouse tricks that will appeal to kids and nostalgic adults alike.
Words of Pat McAfee. It's just old heads crying because it's too loud. It hurts my ears.
There was a lot of fucking yelling over each other. It was a lot.
It's
Right.
You get a group of kids together. What else do you think is gonna happen?
I don't like kids either. Alright. Now it's time for Ratchet Reviews. Half a star. My main memory of this is being terrified out of my mind as a kid by that horrific fella with the melted face. It took me a minute to figure out who had a melted face.
If you were as a kid, if you were terrified of anybody, it's fucking Mom. That bitch is scary.
Yeah.
Like, Sloth was the friendly guy.
Yeah. I'm sure that person grew up to be a great person that didn't judge a book by its cover or anything. Half a star. As someone who did not grow up watching Goonies, I have the unique position of being a child in the 80s with zero nostalgia for this movie. I did not write this review. And let me tell you, watching it for the first time as an adult is an ideal situation to realize that it is a horrible movie. I don't even know where to start with this movie. Every single kid in this thing is extraordinarily annoying. They all either whine, mumble, or screech their dialogue in such a fashion that I want to tell them to just shut up. But it's not just the sound of their voices that annoys. These kids are horrible to each other. They mock their friends, call each other names, and only seem to care about other people when death is on the line. There is literally nothing I like in the Goonies. It is one movie that I cannot imagine anyone enjoying unless they have the emotional, nostalgic connection.
Alright. You're in a group of friends. You have nothing to do other than sit there and talk. You're gonna rib each other and talk shit to each other.
A little bit.
That's just how it is.
But I didn't think they did a whole lot.
I mean, they did a little bit, and Chunk seemed to get the most of it, but
I feel like there's always one that gets the most of it, though, right?
Usually, kind of one person, then every now and then everybody will lighten up, and the next person on the totem pole will get. But I feel like that person didn't have many friends.
Half a star. Like babysitting a half dozen kids with ADHD and you with no Ritalin. That's kind of a fair review.
It's fair.
This one really cracked me up. They're all along the same lines, but this one I thought was very funny. It applies to us. 1 star. If I wanted to hear a bunch of white people talk over each other, I'd just listen to a podcast. Fair enough.
Wow.
Fair enough.
Wow.
1 star. Awful. Well, this was a cinematic adventure. So I had heard a lot about the Goonies, and it gets referenced a lot in popular culture, so I thought I'd give it a watch. Boy, was I in for an interesting revelation. So it turns out that if you watch this movie as a child and you watch it now, you will no doubt love it and still have a special nostalgic slot in your heart. You will defend it vigorously if anyone tries to say anything sour about it. For an adult going in watching it now, I promise you it is unwatchable garbage. It's a headache-inducing nonsense fest where, honestly, it felt like the director told the kids, please scream over the top of each other for 2 hours. I was really worried after watching this and feeling this way after all the hype that I had in fact finally become a boring adult without a heart. But after searching online, I found others who had the same experience as me. Phew. Watch as a child equals good. Watch as an adult equals a headache.
Would you agree?
It was a good movie. I liked it for what it was. I believe that if I watched it in the 80s, it would probably have given me the warm fuzzies now. But it kind of didn't. But I mean, it was a fine movie for what it was.
I noticed there was a lot of times where I chuckled and you weren't.
But it was loud. There was a lot of them just yelling over
That's
each
what
other.
kids do.
But it is what kids do. And it is especially what little boys do. But it wasn't my cup of tea.
Are there any more reviews?
One. 1 star. Not a family movie. This review is in all caps.
The whole entire review?
The whole entire review.
This person doesn't get an opinion.
I was so disappointed when I watched this movie. Every other word was shit, which was just unnecessary. In the beginning, there was a part that was pretty filthy, but once you got past it, it wasn't that bad. They did say shit 19 times in the movie. Shit or bullshit.
We said that.
It's the part in the beginning that was pretty filthy, them breaking the penis off the statue of David, because that's a great work of art. Like, does she not know that? Does she not know what it was?
All these little boys playing with these penises.
Is that the filthy part in the beginning? Because I can't come up with what else she could be talking about.
That's probably what Karen was talking about. You notice the whole back half of this movie is just this girl bent over showing her panties.
I did notice that after she took his jacket off, it seemed like her skirt got shorter.
Yeah, like she hiked it up a little more.
Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't pull it down a little bit.
I don't know.
Well, the doll wasn't attached to that. She just pulled herself up on it.
Yeah. Seeing that. Well, so what do you think? What's your review?
I guess because of the nostalgia factor.
Right.
Now, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I did watch it when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably give it 4 out of 5. And since a lot of people have problems translating, 8 out of 10.
Okay.
What would you give it?
I would give it a 3. It would probably have been higher if I had watched it as a kid and had sentimental attachment to it, but I don't. But I mean, it's a fine movie, and I could see why people in the 80s really loved it, why kids in the 80s loved it. I don't understand all the hype around the truffle shuffle, though. That seemed really dumb to me.
It was just a funny part in the movie.
But was it?
Yeah. Are you mad they fat shamed him?
Not really. It seems weird. I don't know. It seems weird that this ragtag in 3 or 4 hours did what nobody else has ever been able to do.
They got lucky because if the water pipes hadn't busted, that wouldn't have opened up the hole. Copperpot already set off one of the booby traps, so that was something less they had to avoid.
Right.
And the rest of the way, they just kind of got lucky each step of the way.
Now, a lot of people are mad didn't screen cap any of the reviews, but a lot of people overall were mad that they fat shamed Chunk and that they felt like they didn't handle mental illness correctly with Sloth.
No, but at the same time,
but he wasn't a bad guy in the movie. Like, he was a good guy.
No,
he was the fucking hero.
Once he got away from those people,
right?
These kids, especially Chunk, treated him like once Chunk figured out, hey, this dude's not gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
And he wasn't scared of him anymore.
Yeah, he was one of them.
Fine. Chunk never talked down to him. The Fratellis didn't know how to deal with Sloth, and that's why they were terrible people and chained him up in a room. But I felt like Sloth would be...
He would have been fun.
A little bit of speech therapy, and Sloth is right there in the top 80% of the society.
So I do have another fun fact. Heather Langenkamp, who was Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street, auditioned for the role of Andy. And they said that she was the right physical type for the role. However, she was 20 years old at the time, and the script described her as 17, and they felt that she was too old. Said that Langenkamp got really mad about it and was mad about it for years. Said Spielberg felt bad about turning her down, so 7 years later offered her the role of Dr. Ellie Sattler in Jurassic Park as an apology. And she turned it down because she was going to do Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
That was a mistake.
She would have been I feel like she would have been odd in Jurassic Park. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Which we found out last week is
It's
one of
not-
your favorite movies.
I guess. I got some rips. You want to talk about them?
Feldman. Is he still alive?
Corey Feldman's alive. Corey Haim died.
Haim died, okay. So I'm guessing old mom.
Corey Feldman's weird.
Yeah. I'm guessing mom's gone.
Mama Fratelli is Anne Ramsey. She is dead. She died in 1988 at the age of 59.
Was she the same lady that was in Throw Mama from the Train? But
yes.
Then, okay. When was that movie made?
1987.
Wow, that was close.
Sloth is dead. John Matuszak. John Matuszak. He died in 1989 at the age of 38.
Wow. Did it say why?
Yeah, he had a heart condition and pneumonia, but he died from an accidental overdose of Darvocet and cocaine.
That's another one.
Was probably
more Darvocet and just had cocaine.
He had cocaine in his system, but he had a heart issue
with the cocaine.
He had pneumonia, so he already had reduced breathing. And then he was probably on the Darvocet for pain from football. Had a little bit of cocaine in his system. So, yeah, he had a lot working against him. Rosalita is dead.
Not Rosalita.
Yeah, she died in 2012 at the age of 69. Mary Ellen Trainor, who played Mrs. Walsh, is dead. And Mr. Walsh, Keith Walker, is also dead.
Wow, not a good time for the parents.
No, I'm sure some of the other ones are dead, but those are your main ones.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So, they gave Sean Astin One-Eyed Willie's treasure map after they were done filming. And a couple of years later, his mom
threw it away.
Found it and thought it was just like wadded up paper and threw it away. Like, good thing he's still like a famous working actor who has money, because you got to be really mad if this is the last thing you did and your mama threw away your priceless movie artifact.
I bet some Goonies fanboy would love to have.
Oh yeah, people
map.
are real upset right now. It's got the producer's blood on it and everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that.
Alright, you got anything else?
Not really. Bring some nostalgia back.
Does it? You still get the warm and fuzzies? I don't know why I never saw it. It's really weird.
It was on TV a lot. What other popular old movies have you never seen?
I think this is episode 22 of this podcast. I think this is the first one that I hadn't previously seen.
I thought we had more episodes. I thought we had done 25.
Well, a couple were lost.
So did you find that you took more notes or less notes?
Having not seen it, the same. I apologize if you can hear the lawnmower in the background that is our asleep Puggle. Jeez Louise.
Okay.
It sounds like a warm summer's day out here. It's 2 a.m. She's just mowing the lawn over there.
What would be your favorite part?
When everybody shuts the fuck up. No, I don't know. I don't know. What's your favorite part?
I guess when anybody says the Goonies, in my mind, it's always, hey, you guys. Hey, you guys.
The way people talk about the Truffle Shuffle, I really thought it would have factored into the movie more. I thought he would have done it more than one time at the beginning.
Nope. It's all it took, man.
I don't get it. I'm gonna get roasted.
What was your least favorite part?
I really didn't like the entire beginning of the movie.
Why?
Like, after they got out of the attic, it seemed better, but, like, attic and before, it just seemed very chaotic, and all the little boys kind of screaming and talking over each other seemed to be a bit much for me. It seemed like it got better after that, though.
You feel like...
I mean, they were just excited, and it was real life. Like, that's how they would have behaved, but that doesn't mean I have to like it.
Now...
I'm just an old crotchety bitch that doesn't like kids, so...
Kids, now, you took 8, 9, 10-year-olds.
They would have all died.
They would have died. There's no way they could survive on their own for the better part of 6 hours like these kids did.
No.
Like, this all happens in... Actually, this all happens overnight.
Yeah.
So, let's say 12 hours. There's no way...
No, they would all die.
They make it through there. I remember going outside probably shortly after I woke up and not coming home until after dark.
Yeah.
I didn't... Now, there were other people that checked in with their parents every now, but I never...
I feel like, in all rights, I should be dead.
Shouldn't be dead, but you weren't... But at the same time, like when we have our nephew...
He won't go upstairs by himself. He's
like,
almost 12 years old.
I almost wouldn't let him just roam around the neighborhood without looking. Like, anyway.
But yeah, I would just leave, and me and my friend would, I mean, like, at like 11 years old, 12, walk the neighborhood, end up God knows where. They would never survive it.
I remember playing in the woods.
Now, in this scene where this pirate ship full of gold sails away, in a modern era where you got speedboats and jet skis and shit.
Oh, you're going after.
Don't you go get that gold?
You're going
That's
after.
what I was thinking. I was like, oh, y'all fucked up real bad here. All right, anything else?
No. Ode to the Rube Goldberg machine.
Jesus Christ.
A little bit of nostalgia.
Why do you think there were so many?
Popular, I guess.
Next week, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do Fear.
Pretty sure.
With Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon.
I don't remember that movie.
Because Valentine's Day is approaching, folks. And y'all need a cautionary tale. Don't be coupling up just because it's Valentine's Day. Some people are fucking psychos.
It's cuffing season.
I know.
Alright, that's been Run It Back for the Goonies. Again, you can watch it on Amazon Prime, or you could buy or rent it pretty much anywhere. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah. You can follow us on our social media accounts on Facebook and Instagram at Run It Back Pod, on Twitter at Pod Run It Back, and there is content up
on TikTok.
I mean, I felt like I was saying that, but okay. Up on our TikTok now. Come like us. It is also at Run It Back Pod.
I will never betray my Goondock friends. We will stick together until the whole world ends. Through heaven and hell and nuclear war, good pals like us will stick like tar. In the city or the country or the forest or the boonies, I am proudly declared a fellow Goonie.